Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is the finals of the ESL Open Cup 236 for the North American region. Spawning right here in game number 1, playing with the blue SCVs, we have none other than ByuN and his opponent all the way in the opposite corner of Post Youth, playing with the red Zerg drones. We're looking at none other than Dark's main hatchery. Dark going up against ByuN, North American tournament. Definitely some of my favorite North Americans competing against one another. Obviously, the server, well, these games actually may just be played on the Korean server as well, but generally speaking, the NA games, they get played on the American server, and obviously they also get played at a NA-friendly time zone. So that means that for these two, it's probably not the greatest time to be playing games, although generally speaking, pro gamers' sleeping schedules are a bit of a mess anyways. Right? Let's be real. We all know that Dark recently got a baby too. I can imagine sleep in general is just something that he is not really too familiar with right now. And honestly, I'm quite impressed with the amount of games he's still playing. Like in general, he did mention at the GSL, when he ended up winning that tournament recently, that his wife is doing the vast majority of the heavy lifting. But yeah, I kind of figured maybe after winning the GSL, after, you know, him also qualifying for the World Cup, which is going to be taking place in a little bit of time from now, maybe he's going to take some time to just do hardcore practice, maybe, you know, hide some strategies here and there, but Dark is still playing in practically everything. He's playing. Time zones, irrelevant. Opponents, also, apparently, mostly irrelevant. ByuN, of course, also one of the top tier players. Also somebody who might very well be thinking about hiding strats. But for now, we get to watch them play against each other with a couple hundred thousand, they wish, couple $100 on the line. For the Esports World Cup, the first place prize is 400 grand. For the ESL Open Cups, it's a little bit less, just a smidgen less. Remove a couple zeros at the end, maybe 3 of them, and you will get a more accurate statement. Now, it's going to be a very quick expansion right here from ByuN. We'll be following this up with a relatively quick factory as well. The in-base expansion, of course, on Post Youth is very easy to acquire. Not a whole lot that the Zerg player could do about it, unless you really want to go for like a one-base all-in or something along those lines. Not really something that Zerg players do anymore. It's mixed in every once in a while, but it's quite a rare strategy. Especially since most of the time, obviously, there will be a wall off, so you would have to go one base Ling Bane or something like that. That would have been something that Dark could have hard countered this build with, but really, what are the odds? So, this is command center into barracks, into factory, into another command center. Whereas in the meantime, on the other side of the map, I believe this was a hatchery, into a gas geyser, into a spawning pool, double queens, and then eventually also a third base. Since, of course, that a Reaper arrives a little bit later with this particular build, there's no skirmish going on as far as that third base goes. Overlord actually goes all the way into the main base. Obviously, since this was not Reaper into Marine, there's nothing that can actually prevent this Overlord from just seeing everything. Look at this guy. This guy is on his tippy toes, up in the air, trying to peep on everything the Terran's doing. Ay, ay, ay. He does see the timing right here of the tech lab too. Could stick around for a little bit longer, yeah. That's exactly what he's gonna do as well. And this is one of the downsides, I guess. At least for the Terran player here. Are we gonna go for a single Marine? Well, we're actually slightly supply blocked. He needs to wait until, he's actually doing it on purpose. That's kind of cute. Yeah, he's supply blocked, but the light still goes on inside of that tech lab. And now he does the switcheroo. Okay, Viking's gonna pop in just a moment. He was waiting for the CC to finish up. Timing here actually is correct by ByuN. And he will be able to get the kill right here on the Overlord regardless. But now we're gonna go for the Banshee switch. So the Banshee, will it get spotted? No. But at the same time, there used to be a starport over here. And he didn't know that there was he does know rather that there was a tech lab over there somewhere. So there is still a very good chance that this will indeed be a starport switcheroo. We'll probably see him starting up a couple of spore crawlers at like maybe 5 minutes and 10 seconds or so. This is pretty much the latest possible Banshee. Okay, third command center. Flies on over towards the right side of the map. Double evolution chamber here for Dark, so I quite like this. Double evo chamber first, before any tech. And now also a 4th hatchery already. So this is basically Dark saying, yo, you're playing a greedy game. I'm gonna play even greedier. Like, you go for a command center first into a very quick 3rd base, into a delayed Banshee and everything else. I'm just gonna try and meet you head on. So, game number 1 in this series is looking like a big eco game at the very least. Yeah, we have another hatchery. I would imagine that this is more or less a macro hatch for now, but it's Dark. So we'll have to see. Main downside for the Zerg with this particular opener is that Baneling speed is late. And Baneling speed, of course, is one of the critical upgrades for defending Terran timing attacks. So there is certainly an opportunity right here for ByuN to deal some damage, but since obviously there's just not that many Terran units going around the map at this point in time, the creep spread is looking quite ridiculous already. So, there's the lair, there's the Baneling nest. Assuming Dark survives for the next couple minutes, he is going to be in a really wonderful position. Here's the Banshee showing up. Spore Crawler repositioned. Queens in the perfect spot. Dark's playing really good. Actually, at this rate, I'm thinking Dark might be one of the favorites going into the World Cup. Like, a lot of players are obviously saying Serral, but we don't really know how good he currently is. A lot of players will be saying Maru as well. Fair enough. Maru is, of course, one of the all-time greats. But obviously, he's also not showing us a lot of games at this point. But the games I see Dark play, at least when he's really focused, they are, yeah, incredibly strong. Alrighty. Banshees have achieved nothing. Hellions are gonna try and see if they can go down to the low ground. Dark already going for a 6th base as well, at the bottom of the map. Yeah, 3 drones at 7 minutes when Zerg already has more than 80 is pretty much irrelevant. Now, he has no Overseer nearby. Yeah, he starts at 1 right now. Wanted to prioritize everything else. 7 minutes into the game, Zerg is pretty much done droning. He's making Overlords for the remainder of the match right now, and then also 2-2 has already begun. Same can be said for ByuN, though. This is just usually the type of strategy where Zerg just pulls so far ahead. A couple of slow Banelings. Alright, get a little bit of damage done, but nothing all too much. Big Zergling run by. This is gonna buy a bunch of time. Maybe it's only 30 seconds or so, but that is exactly what Dark is hoping for, because at this point, look at this. The income advantage is going heavily in favor of the Zerg. And it's very much so up to ByuN to try and slow that down. He's waiting for the combat shields research, which is plus 10 HP for all of those Marines. They just now, they suddenly found a shield inside of their backpacks. Where did it come from? Nobody knows. Dark should have a very large amount of units, though. He has the opportunity here to tank some of the siege tank shots with the Queens. And then have the Ling Bane come in. A couple of Hydras as well. From a couple different angles up here. Okay, he doesn't even need it. I think giving up this expansion would not be a bad idea, to be honest. He really doesn't need it. This hatchery, also, not very important at all. Drones, they've already been moving down south. If you give up on both of those bases, sure, it means that ByuN is gonna get the kill, but does that really matter for Dark? ByuN scanning ahead, a little bit concerned for potential burrowed Banelings, creep in general, of course. There is zero reason for Dark to jump towards the low ground, although he may very well feel inclined to make a move right now. He sees the repositioning right here of the Terran. He could certainly decide to collapse on top of this, to be honest. He's got 15 or so more Banelings finishing up. He's threatening us around. In the meantime, the Banshees on the left side of the map are being cleaned up as well. But here we go. This is where Dark pulls the trigger. He does not want to lose an extra hatch. ByuN feels exactly where this fight is going and picks up before it even really starts. Another siege tank. No room inside of the plane for him. Yeah, brilliant game here from Dark. Good scouting, good decision making. Gives up the bases when necessary. Not really skipping a beat. And ByuN is getting outplayed here in the first game of this series. It was a greedy game by ByuN. He was hoping that Zerg was gonna respond with, well, a normal strategy, but Dark said, nope. We'll just, well, play even greedier than you. At which point, ByuN was pushed into a bit of a strange corner. Dark even going into an infestation pit right now. I don't think he really needs that, to be honest, but I think that's just his late game security. He could just try and push for the win here. This is obviously a 3-base all-in right here from ByuN, so he's got 8 Rex. He is going into +3, but the problem with this opener for ByuN is that at some point, it fizzles out. And right now, the fizzling is in progress. Do you hear that? Yeah. He's gonna try and do a drop. This drop is gonna have to kill about 2 bases worth in order for it to be good enough. Dark can now split up his army and still have more than the main force of ByuN. Normally, this is not the type of build for Zerg where you can actually afford going Infestation Pit and Hive. But Dark at this point is so far ahead that he doesn't feel like he needs to. Yeah, he doesn't need to take the risk. Zerg can counterattack here. Grabs one of the siege tanks, completely misrallied out in the open. Marines here also completely spread out. No response whatsoever. That's because most of the attention right here from the South Korean Terran is on his main army. That one also gets wiped off the map. Dark dominates in game number 1. Alcyone, Alcyone. It's gonna be our second game in this best of 5 series. All right, ByuN. ByuN stunned by the greed of the Zerg. He was like, but I was the greedy one. How are you also the greedy one? I was supposed to be the... Huh? Yeah. And at some point he attacked and it just didn't work whatsoever. You need to be able to respond there, I think. A little bit of flexibility is critical. The problem when you play really quick triple CC into 8 Rex is that if you don't have those Hellions and Banshees early, the Zerg creep spread just gets out of control. And ultimately an 8 Rex all-in on 3 bases is, well, like I said, an all-in, right? You have to really deal damage with it quickly. And if you don't, if Zerg buys 30 seconds here with a run by, they buy 30 seconds here with another scan that has to kill some creep. If they buy ultimately about a minute, that Zerg economy is just really hard to stop. Alrighty, double Rex here for ByuN. One of the barracks goes on the other side of the map. Oh, Dark barely doesn't see it. Yeah. This is one of those situations where Dark, I think, is gonna go link speed first regardless. I don't think he's gonna be pulling drones out because he hasn't sent his first Overlord straight across the map. And there's a couple of different variations where this could work out really well for ByuN. Normally, if Zerg pulls 2 drones out of gas at 60 and they go for a 3rd hatchery, before they realize that it's a double barracks opener, it can work really well for the Terran player. But in this instance, I don't think Dark's gonna pull off. Nope. Because he hasn't gone for an Overlord scout really quickly. So because of that, he's gonna go for a relatively safe start. Which means this should still work out for the Zerg player, assuming he micros it well. Command center should begin here. Misready the CV. Okay. Yeah, he's gonna be able to shut down. Oh, okay, nice juke right there by Dark. Oh yeah. All right, he should be able to shut down that drone, is what I was gonna say. ByuN, of course, though, ridiculously good when it comes to microing Reapers. Really? We're gonna try and go home? Okay, that's a little overly ambitious, but already a 3rd base is coming up. Look at these poor guys. Forced to take their guns to the hatch. Little Peeper Lord over here. Doesn't really care. It is 4 Reapers, which is a bit strange. 2 to 5 Reapers. Normally 3 is what we normally see, I guess, but... Okay. Because of the Ford Reaper, I guess he can secure that relatively easily. Nice round, but ultimately, this is also coming at the cost of a barracks, making the flight of shame. Poor guy. Okay, so what are we gonna do next? Third command center, about 40% or so of the way done. We will see a tech lab over here, so I'm assuming this will just be mass marine production in the end. Just a bit of a slower follow-up. There are ways for Zerg to try and punish this, mainly because the Stimpack will be relatively late because that barracks has to fly back. If we see a Roach Warren coming up right about right now, I think there is a chance that Dark could try and punish this, but he doesn't really need to. Okay. Yeah, I think instead we're just gonna see full-on macro here as well from the Zerg. We're skipping one of the injects. Another queen will be coming down in a little bit. All a little bit messy here for Dark though. I think it's because of that early game here that ByuN decided to go for. Bit of a curveball. But he's already sitting again at 44 workers, which is perfect for 2-base saturation. And apparently we're not going to take the gases yet. Instead, we're going to go for a transfer towards the third. Okay, now there is still a nice timing attack though for ByuN on the horizon. Stimpack, +1/+1. It'll all finish up right around the same time. He should be able to pump out a few medevacs as well by then. Supply block here for the Terran for just a moment. He does have energy right here as well for a mule. Wouldn't mind seeing that one coming down. It's actually sitting at 65 energy. He's got 60 energy as well on this orbital. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say. Seems a little unnecessary, but he is gonna be flying the CC down towards the low ground here eventually. Dark's just droning, man. Yeah, so no more early game aggression, really, from Dark. That's what he used to do for quite a while. Early game pushes in general just seemed really strong, but Dark's now saying, nope, I am happy to be aggressive in the mid game. But I'm not really too keen on playing an all-in at this stage in the match. It is once again, by the way, double Evo chamber here before Lair and Baneling Nest. Meaning that Dark's economy is going to be booming, but at the same time, he's playing very greedy here. Okay. ByuN could go ahead and move across the map. There's the medevacs that I was talking about. Stimpack and 1-1 finished. Well, right now. Hellions are joining in as well. Dark starts up 1-1 upon seeing this army. My god, this guy is oozing confidence right now. I'm not sure if I agree with him. But he starts up 1-1 in the middle of all of this. Here we go. This is a scary attack. Those Hellbats are phenomenal. Yeah, the Hellbats are destroying everything. Okay. ByuN putting Dark in his place. This is much too greedy here from the Zerg. GG. Oof. Dynasty. Well, somehow Dark has been quite successful on Dynasty as of late. I feel like the last few times I've seen him play on this map, he's been winning. Even though this map is, how do I put this lightly? Pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible for this matchup. I think it's much nicer for ZVP. It seems to be okay-ish for TVP. But for TVZ, it's about a 75% advantage for Terran, which is pretty terrible. Somehow, though, Dark seems to be getting this map a lot in the series I've seen him play as of late. So I guess, so either this is some sort of World Cup vetoing meta that we have going on right now, where Dark's like, okay, I want to hide strategies, so we'll just play the, you know, the worst maps. But either that or he's just confident, I guess. But it's just a bit of a strange one to see early on in a series. Command center coming up over at the golden mineral line for ByuN. This is a CC first. My god, ByuN. Is that really what we need to do? Like, you know you forced. We're not gonna wall either? Ay, ay, ay. So, ByuN going for the 1-1 upgrades in the previous game was extremely greedy, right? Almost a little arrogant, right? He's like, ah, oh, no big deal. Oh, I don't care. Now we have the exact opposite situation where ByuN is feeling so confident on this map that he goes CC first into a barracks away from the ramp. Very risky. Luckily for him, it won't really be a problem, but this certainly is something that could backfire really hard. So the thing is, obviously, Dark is going to get across the map. He is going to see only a single depot. Yeah. And this gets things going right away. You'd expect there to be a barracks. Is Dark going to panic at all? Well, he'll probably delay the third. Yeah, he's going spine crawler right now. Because he is assuming that this is going to be a full-on proxy all-in. He's got to find exactly what's going on, and he should be able to, yeah, cancel that spine. But still. Cheeky little play here from ByuN. And certainly a risky one. Was it worth it? Was it worth putting all of that? I don't know. It's now 2 games in a row. Actually, no, it's all 3 games in a row, right? Where Dark could have won with a 1-base play. Like, if Dark would have gone for the old school Ling Bane opener, I think he would have won all 3 games here. It's just a build that doesn't get played anymore. But it might be time for a strategy refresher every once in a while. Couple Zerglings run in, though. There's still no Wolof. The add-ons are being built over here. Don't tell me we're gonna lose the game to 6 slow Zerglings. Ay, 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 ay. This is actually so bad for ByuN. Yeah. Very similar vibe as, as that previous game. Dark starts up 1-1 in the heat of the moment. No way he could really do anything. Now, ByuN's entire build order is complete whack, because losing 5 SCVs to 6 Zerglings that don't even have link. Okay, we're also gonna. Did he cancel link speed in favor of a Roach Warren? Okay. I think Dark has had enough. Dark's looking at this build. He's like, yo, there is no way you're gonna have much of anything, right? The only problem is that there will be Banshees. There's also, by the way, a landed supply depot on top of this. So ByuN actually hits a supply block in the middle of all of this as well, because his CC was late. Alright, 6 roaches are coming. Sometimes the roaches will find one of the Banshees as it flies across the map. At which point the Zerg goes back home. This is not going to be a link flood on the back of this, because, well, he won't be able to, because he doesn't have link speed. But all of this is due to the fact that ByuN did not make a Wolof at the start. All he got for it, okay? So here's what he got for that entire drama. Is Dark slightly delaying his third hatch and canceling a spine crawler, which was 25 minerals down the drain for the Zerg. I don't think it was worth it. No, I don't think the numbers quite line up. Anyways, here's the Banshee. Banshee indeed finds a Roach. This is gonna cause ByuN to send that Banshee back home, because one of the Roaches is behind the golden mineral line, trying to be a nuisance. And all of this on a map that is very good for Terran going up against Zerg. There was really no reason to do any of this, but it looks like we're gonna maybe transition. Yep. Dark is droning. He's gone for a 4th hatchery here as well. That's the hatch over at the gold, and he's gonna try and knock down these rocks to try and deal with a bunch of these Terran pushes. 1-1 coming up for the Terran player. Stimpack on the back of this too. And we will just see good old Biomarine. But still, a little funky. Because there is still no link speed, Dark has decided he wants to play a Roach-based mid-game. So he's going to be going what seems to be a Roach Ravager. Yep, Roach Ravager, maybe with Infestors, maybe into Quick Hive. Both are options that work. Neither of them very popular. I say that. Quick Hive based off of Roach Ravager, of course, is a very common strategy in the current meta. But not so much from the Koreans. A lot of the Koreans seem to favor still a Ling Bane or a Ling Bane Hydra-based unit comp. Whereas players like Serral seem to go a lot of Roach Ravager into super quick Hive. And ultimately, this will be a really fast Hive. We could also see a Lurker Den really early on. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the plan is. The ball is in ByuN's court, though. Are we gonna go for a push? Or are we scared of a 1-1 attack from the Zerg with speed? Because that could be what we have over here as well. Roach speed on 1-1. It's gonna finish up. Dark's making quite a lot of units. But keep in mind that he's making units... He's making it off of 74 workers, which normally would not be a completed economy yet for Zerg. But this is a base that requires about... What is it? Like 4 plus 3? Yeah, it's like 7 less workers. So this is effectively 81 drone economy right here for the Zerg player. So he's making a lot of army because he's done making workers for the economy that he has right now. It's gonna be Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra into Hive. Still no link speed, so I don't think this is gonna be... Oh, we're gonna drop that side? That's kind of cute. He's dropping in the main base to try and harass the golden mineral, right? Yeah. So link speed starts up right now, okay. I was thinking maybe this could be like an ultra transition really quickly for Dark. He hasn't started up a... Nice targeting here by ByuN. He hasn't started up a Lurker Den yet. It'll just be Vipers. Okay. Fourth Command Center. Going to finish up in just a moment. We'll probably see a planetary fortress right over here. Within a minute or so. +2/+2 has started up as well for the Terran player. Not yet on the side of the Zerg. So those Evo chambers... Yeah, I was gonna say, they've been idle for a little too long. Because 1-1 has finished for a while. All the timings are a little random though. Where are those Vipers? Blinding Cloud is not something that ByuN is expecting yet. We have Vipers. Really? Are we gonna try and fight this before Vipers? He's actually saving the Vipers. Huh. I don't think we really needed to do that. I think Dark could have waited until he had Blinding Clouds. But I think he just looked at that army. That's that classic Dark killer instinct. He looked at that army, he's like, "Pwah, ha! My strategy is unnecessary. I will just hit it in the face before I need to." I think with a Blinding Cloud, that could have been an easy cleanup. But now he should be able to use this army together with the Vipers offensively instead. So there might be a killer play here for Dark. Normally, after a defense like that, the Vipers have to go back and accumulate energy again, right? Instead, now they show up really quickly on the other side. This is really nicely done by the Zerg. Normally, Zerg would have to hit maybe 30 seconds later as those Vipers are busy getting energy. There's a lot of roaches coming across. Yeah, and that's a Dark move right there. That is one of those things where... If you want to criticize Serral, right, which is hard to do because the man doesn't really lose. That is something I don't think Serral would have decided. I think Serral would have sat back, waited for the energy, did the Blinding Cloud, did the more textbook play. Which would have been fine as well. But Dark certainly does have that instinct to just look at that army, jump on it immediately, and then use the Vipers offensively about 30 seconds earlier instead. Really cool play. So another win for Dark against Terran on Dynasty. But I feel like we gotta put a little asterisk right next to that match. Because what in the world was that strategy from ByuN? ByuN, that was so unnecessary, man. You fell so far behind just because you wanted to hide your barracks? Alright. Not a lot of players are looking to wrestle in the mud with Dark, but he fights dirty, man. Dark definitely pulls hair, he bites. He does whatever is against the rules as long as the judge isn't watching. Or the ref, I guess, is a better way to put it. Anyways, ByuN is happy to meet him there, but still seems to me like the Zerg here, at least in that previous game, is a step ahead. Talon, by the way, is the team that Dark is currently playing for. We'll have to see how many of these pro gamers stay on their teams after the Esports World Cup. Basically, the way that it works for the EWC is that there's a club championship as well. So besides all of the games that have their World Cup in August at the EWC, or August, I think it's also July actually. It's running for quite a while for all of the different games. There's also a club championship, meaning that there is a very significant prize pool. It is tens of millions, I'm not exactly sure, for the different clubs, the different teams that participate in that event. And for each of the games that are present, you get teams, or you get points rather, depending on how well your team does for that specific game. So there's a bunch of really large esports organizations that picked up some of the top tier StarCraft 2 talent. Just to, some of the pro gamers. Just to see how well this goes. And I can imagine that sometimes you may find yourself with a couple 100,000 here. So, yeah, there's a good chance that somebody like Dark brings a significant amount of points to your club, and I can imagine, ooh, that life is gonna be more interesting. Dark wants this to be the final game. Dark wants this to be the final game. He has decided to do a Roach Rush. It's a double Rex opener here for ByuN. He's gone for 3 Reapers here in total. He's looking right now for the 3rd hatch. He does have a lot of scouting potential, but if he does not see the Roach Warren, he could be in a world of trouble. The Roach Warren's actually very well hidden here. Thing is, ByuN might be thinking at this point that his Reapers, since he managed to get a cancel on a 3rd hatchery earlier on in this in the series, right? That his Reapers have scared Dark into not taking the 3rd hatch. Instead, what he's playing against is a Roach all-in. Concussive Shells immediately starts up. ByuN is gonna go for the bunker outside of his wall off. I think that's clever, because he cannot afford losing these add-ons. So going for the bunker right over here actually makes sense, but what he doesn't know is that there's a link flood on the back of this too. So this is going to be Zerglings with speed, as all of the additional gas will be spent on Ravagers. Ravagers, when they spawn from a cocoon, spawn with full HP, so it doesn't matter how many hit points this Roach over here has. Yeah, so you pick the low HP ones every single time. Dark sees the bunker. He's waiting for another Ravager. It's 7 biles from a Ravager to kill a bunker. So that's not really going to be an option. But obviously you can still make that shove forward. Okay, when are we going to pull the trigger? Apparently right now. Is there enough for the Terran player to win this game? Nice snipe right there, but good targeting as well by Dark. Trying his very best to morph those low HP Roaches into Ravagers. The Terran army is going the wrong way. Like, where are we going? He's trying to drag that entire Zerg ball away from his main, but now that add-on gets denied, then the Stimpack upgrade will not finish. The front door is being knocked on. Nobody's opening, but ByuN apparently is still gonna have a whole lot of units inside of his natural. Yeah, I think there's too much. I think there is too much. ByuN trying to play the same mind game that he did earlier on in this series already. Dark looked at the strategies that ByuN's been playing throughout this series so far, and he noticed that one base play, just good old one base all-ins. I mean, this was a one base all-in with 2 hatcheries, okay? Which is maybe a little strange as far as one base all-ins go, but this was effectively a one base all-in from Dark, just using that second base to make the Terran player think that it's a macro build, or at the very least a normal strat, and obviously it's still really good for generating larva. Dark looked at the build orders that ByuN played throughout the series and realized, wait a second, what if I just throw a bunch of units right at your front door? GG.